Okay, this is my current kegerator. It's a small, I think it's 7 cubic foot, my drip tray, 7 cubic foot freezer that I converted with a temperature controller, and you can see it's got 3 kegs very tightly crammed in there. And I've got my manifolds for a splitter and my CO2 bottle. So, you know, a couple of things that I like about this freezer is it's small, but what I don't like about it is basically all my beer has to be on the same pressure, which is kind of a hassle, and of course it's really tiny, and I'd like to have more space for more beer. Who wouldn't? So anyway, so that's the current setup, and I'm going to kind of pan back here. You can see I've got quite a lot of space. I have the most tolerant wife on the planet. She's allowing me to put a much bigger kegerator out here on the patio. I'm going to turn this guy into a fermenting chest, which was kind of my plan all along. I just, as I tend to do with a lot of my hobbies, I've accelerated my schedule quite a bit. So anyway, this is where I'm starting from. I'm going to reuse a few of the parts on this, but for the most part, I'm going to start over again. So that's it for where I'm at. Okay, so I'm in the workshop now, and you can see this is my new kegerator in progress. It's a monster. It's actually a 19.7 cubic foot freezer that I purchased at H.H. Gregg. I kind of got a deal. It was on sale. It had a ding in it, so I got the guy to come down on the price. So I've looked at a lot of these online and looked at various methods that people use to collar them, and some guys attach them to the top so that the beer lines stay with the top. You know, that's cool, but the thing I don't like about that is when you go to open the lid up, you know, the lid's so thick the thing has to sit a substantial distance from the wall. So I decided to collar it, but you know, this freezer is really pretty ginormous, and you could see there's kind of an inner lip and an outer lip, and I'm a bit of a woodworker myself, so I decided to kind of do a double wall collar. I've never seen anyone do one just like this. They're usually 2x6 or something like that, but I thought this would be a little bit better. And I'm going to zoom in here a little. You can see that there's actually a bottom on this channel, which I'm going to screw and glue, probably with some construction adhesive, to the top of the freezer. You can see I've pulled off the lid already, and this freezer actually has a light in the lid, so I'll have to do some wiring on that. I'm also putting in a temperature controller on this guy. I purchased a love controller. I'm going to wire it in and use this channel to hide the wires. And you can see down here, this thing is massive. I think I can easily fit 10 kegs in it, probably 12. And I'm going to put 8 taps on the front of it. So it's going to be pretty outrageously large. I haven't seen anybody, at least not on YouTube, actually build a kegerator this big before, so I thought I would video it in case anybody was interested in seeing what it was like to take something to a very unhealthy extreme. And over here I've got a couple of brand new kegs. I'm going to eventually have probably 10 of those in there, and then I'll use this for some conditioning as well. So anyway, so that's where I'm at right now. I'm in the process of getting this bottom plate put in here so I can attach this to the freezer, and I'm going to put some bracing in this back channel because the lid's kind of heavy on this big giant beast. And then once I get that done, I'll shoot another video and let you guys see how it's coming along. Okay, I wanted to flip this thing over before I installed it to give you a better idea what it looks like. You know, this is the bottom side of this guy, and you can see that there's a lip right there, that lip. And that lip is going to lay right in this lip along the top edge of the freezer, and I'm going to use some pretty strong construction adhesive to hold it in place, and I've got some screws that I'm going to screw every 12 inches into this plastic piece here, and you can see every little test hole there to see what it looks like. I don't think it'll be any trouble. There shouldn't be any coils that far up, I hope. But I figure with a bunch of liquid nails and screws, this thing ought to stay in place. The lid's actually pretty bulky, but it's really not all that heavy, and it really won't have anything on it other than, you know, the lid itself. So I think it'll be all right. So there it is. Here's a little distant shot for you, so you can kind of see what it's looking like. So I'm going to go ahead and install it, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I've got this thing attached now. You can see it there, but there's a screw every foot all the way around it. They grabbed actually pretty well. I used a tube of liquid nails tub surround adhesive, which, you know, is made to get wet and damp and all that, and then I used a fast drying silicone caulk on the outside edge, just so I had a nice seal along the, you can actually see a little bit of it oozing out right there. I'll clean that up in a little bit. See, so I have a nice seal along the edge. You know, I'm going to give this a finish, do a little sanding, give it a finish so that it's nice and, you know, water permeable. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this gap yet. I may fill it with some foam. I was thinking about maybe capping it off, but I kind of like the idea of having this little tray to be able to get, you know, hoses and stuff through, so still kind of thinking on that one. Well, anyway, there you go. The collar is on the fridge, and it seems to be pretty sturdy. More to come. Okay, just gave this baby a coat of polyurethane. It's actually water-based poly. I didn't really want to use anything that was going to off-gas too much, and I'm going to leave this thing sitting out here for quite a while before I close it all up, because I want to make sure that any funky smells get out of it. And if you look real close, this little pro tip for you here, I didn't fill any of the little holes in. I know, I used my air nailer and put holes in it. Once it dries and I have a first coat on there, I'm going to fill those in, sand it off, give it a second coat. The outside's red oak, the inside's poplar, and a little blue tape around it just to kind of keep everything off of everything. But it's looking good. This stuff is nice because it dries in about 30 minutes, and I'm in Florida, so, you know, it's 75 degrees out. It's early in the year, so I don't think I'm going to have too much trouble getting this thing to dry. Anyway, you can see I used a little thin roller. I like to use a roller to get the stuff on there, and then use the brush to smooth it out. That way I can kind of get a nice quick even coat on there. So anyway, there it is with some finish on it. Okay, back for another installment here. So I'm attaching the lid back, and you'll notice that there's these hinges are spring loaded, so I put a piece of coat hanger through a little hole that exists back there. And what I did was I actually found the original holes where the bracket was mounted, and I didn't want to drill a new hole in the back of the freezer because I want to run the risk of actually damaging the coils. So I figure if I go back in the same holes, I'm safe. You'll notice that I cut a little piece of the edge that goes along the top so that the hinge could go over it, because I'm going to be mounting the hinges up higher. And I've already done this on the other side here, so I'll show you what that looks like. So this hinge is already mounted in the bottom holes. I drilled new holes and I tightened those up. I haven't put the top ones in yet. I basically just relocated the hinge up high and screwed it in. So you can see I have a nice coat of polyurethane on this collar, and I'm just going to finish attaching the lid. Okay, so there's the hinges attached. I actually reused the original screws and just screwed them into the wood. Seem to be holding pretty well. The lid closes nice. Here it is opening. Seems to be working okay. I'm going to definitely need to put something in the gap here, because that little light switch is basically going to hit open space. So I'm probably going to end up putting a strip of wood in this filler gap. Put some foam underneath it, and then fill in the strip with a little strip of wood. Just miter that nicely. It'll look good, and that'll kind of fill that gap in. I actually ordered my my shanks today. I ordered 8 4 1/8 inch long shanks that are going to go through this front wall, and there's going to be a drip tray, a 24 inch wide 8 hole drip tray that's going to hang down the front here. And I've got a couple of kegs just sitting here for sizing purposes. Definitely you know, a cavernous kegerator. I think we've got easily room for 10, probably, you know, if I stagger them, maybe even 12 or so. I don't know if I actually I'm going to have that many, but certainly I'll have room for expansion, which is kind of what I was going for here. So anyway, so that's where we're at right now. So the kegerator, I'll go ahead and close the lid to get an idea how it closes. Closes well. It's looking good. And next video I'll probably be installing the gas controls, and maybe maybe my controller will show up so I can actually get the electrical work done. So stay tuned. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and cap off this wall. I filled the inside of it with foam insulation, that good stuff that you get at Home Depot or Lowe's that expands inside the cavity, so that sucker is solid wooden foam. I'm figuring that's going to give me a really good seal. I also went ahead and made up a little bracket here on the back corner, hanging off the hinge bracket, that I'm going to use to attach my temperature controller. I decided to go with one of the Johnson Control digital controllers. This is a fridge that'll probably stay at 34 degrees all the time, so I don't feel like I need anything any fancier than that. So there you have it.